All right, hello.
Hello.
Welcome, guys, to episode 44 of Hello the podcast with me, Raammo, and the lovely Jenz, as always. Welcome back
Hi.
for the
Hello.
44th episode. How you doing,
Hmm.
Jenz? How you doing?
Yeah, pretty good. How you doing?
Yeah, I'm pretty good. I'm very relaxed and very chill now,
Good. I think we
It's
both
yeah.
are better since
Yeah.
last week's episode if you were
Oh
listening.
man.
Oh
What
my
a
god. I think we were
what a
both just
shambles.
like
What a shambles.
done with everything.
Yeah, it was just like the perfect concoction of like stress and like anxiety and just everything hitting both of us at the exact same time.
Mm.
You know, um,
Yeah.
it's what a
But we're
week.
better now.
Um, yeah, much better now. I have had a whole week to catch up on missed sleep and video games and fun and all that sort of stuff. So I'm feeling very reinvigorated, and ready to
Good.
get back into a lot of good stuff.
I mean, you did go to bed at 4 a.m. last night,
I
so
look, I did get a bit at 4 a.m. last night. But to be fair, like I did say, I was running around and playing football all night.
mm.
So I feel like it was just a bunch of like built up energy in me that didn't get released or whatever. So,
Yeah.
I'll blame it on that.
I don't understand people who can work out just before bed. Like,
No, yeah. I was always one when I did go to the gym, I would go sort of right before dinner around like 4:30, 5 o'clock or something
oh,
like
okay.
that.
Oh, yeah, that's a good time, actually.
Yeah, and mainly because as well it would help with my appetite. I know it's
Yeah.
one thing I've been trying to get Emma to do because she doesn't eat too much, and I feel like it's because she doesn't do a lot of like exercise or things like that. And
Right.
she's
So,
physically fit. There's nothing wrong with her like needing to exercise,
yeah, no.
but I feel like one of the things and I guess this goes for a lot of people too, if like you've noticed yourself not eating too much throughout the day, I feel like it is because you're sort of just, your body's not consuming energy. Um
Mm.
and so, yeah, I found when I did go to the gym right before dinner, I would eat a lot more, or I'd be like, I'd be starving afterwards and stuff like that
Yeah.
because I did just consume a lot of energy and my body needs to replenish that. So it was, yeah, that was one thing that I did. And I felt too when I went to the gym in the morning, like if I woke up and went sort of before breakfast or something like that, I didn't really put in as much because I didn't have like a big breakfast beforehand
You were
or,
sluggish, a bit
I
tired.
was just a bit sort of out of it. So I felt like, yeah, that was the
Yeah.
best spot to go. And yeah, and my kickoff last night was at 9 o'clock at night, just before 9 o'clock.
Gee.
So it's like, it's late enough anyways. Um,
Yeah. And
it's,
then you
yeah,
probably had food afterwards,
I
and that's
did. I
also
came
another
home.
energy
I,
surge.
I had a big bowl of rice and tuna. So it was a lot of carbs, stuff like that. I was,
Nice.
I was carb loading at the end of exercise, not beforehand,
Yeah.
but but I
But that's
typically, I don't like
normal
to
because
run
you get
around.
hungry.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. And I don't like to run around on a full stomach anyways. So
Yeah, no.
it's, yeah,
It's a
I had
one-way
something
ticket to
light
vomit.
beforehand. Oh yeah, man. Especially in summer too, because it's summer soccer, so it's
Oh,
like,
yeah.
it
Hot.
gets quite sticky and warm, and you just, yeah, it's not a
Hmm.
pleasant experience running around on a full stomach, sweating, and yeah, no. But yeah, that's not about me, Jens. What have you been up to for the
Hmm.
past couple of days? Because I know we've had some big games sort of come out, and I
Yeah.
know I've been playing them. But I want to know what have you been up to?
In terms of gaming, I did check out Vanguard because I got a code for it.
Yes, yes,
Because that came out on the 5th or something like that.
yeah.
It's quite fun. Not gonna
See,
lie.
I have heard this from a couple of people online. Um,
Okay.
yeah, I still don't think I'm gonna pick it up. I feel like this year
Yeah,
I'm gonna
that's fair
skip
enough.
COD. You know, for a couple of reasons, but uh, yeah, I feel like this year I'm gonna skip it. But I have heard a lot of people sort of praising it, and they are quite happy with how multiplayer's turned out. I haven't heard too much about the campaign because I don't think a lot of people care too much about the campaign or play it.
No.
Not a lot of people buy Call of Duty for that. They do mainly play it for either the zombies or multiplayer.
Yeah.
And yeah, I have heard a lot of the good things about the multiplayer. I think I've heard some good things about zombies too. Um, but I can't recall too much. But yeah, no, I'm glad to hear a lot of people are liking it. Um, you know, it's I feel like Call of Duty goes through this every year though. Like when it first comes out,
Yeah,
people are like, "Oh my god, this is so
I
much
think
better than
that's
last
why
year."
I'm
And
liking it.
then and then and
It's
then
because I've
2 weeks go
missed it,
by,
you know?
and people are like, I don't, man, I don't know.
I'm done.
I feel like
Yeah.
the last one was better, you know? Like, and they just they
Mm.
go through this vicious cycle.
Yeah, I'm always like that with COD when it comes out. I'm like, oh yeah, this
Yeah,
is fun.
yeah,
And then
yeah.
I just play for 2 weeks and then it's kind of it for me.
Yep, yep. You play for the first 2 months, like until Christmas comes around, then you get all your Christmas like
Yeah,
games and stuff.
exactly.
And you're like, oh man, this is so much better because they're new. Like, yeah,
Exactly.
yeah.
But then really tricky situation for them because Battlefield comes out this week.
Yes,
Um,
Battlefield is just around the corner.
and that's really close to Vanguard and that it's not going to help
Yeah,
them in any way. But
no.
anyways,
And a lot of
I
people
enjoy it.
are very excited for Battlefield. Very
Yes, because
excited.
Battlefield's it's a huge like jump for them.
Yeah, yeah, it is. I feel like
It's
people this
massive.
year are more excited for Battlefield than they have been probably since like Battlefield 4 came out, you know, like way back when
Yeah.
in like 2015 or something like that. I can't remember.
Mm.
It's been a little while since people have been this excited for Battlefield. So, you know, it's yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see them go head to head because I feel like for the past couple of years Call of Duty's had the edge against Battlefield, you know.
Yeah.
But it'll be very interesting this year to see, you know, how these two developers sort of go toe to toe with one another, you know. Um,
Mm.
but yeah,
Sure.
more on Soda Gens. Have you played any Animal Crossing this week?
Actually, I loaded it up yesterday and I
Hell yeah,
played
hell yeah.
5 minutes.
5 minutes. That was it. That's when you tapped out.
I went on the boat like to go to the
You went and
island.
saw
There was
Captain. Yeah,
nothing there. I like the
yeah.
songs he sang, but there was nothing there. I was like, okay, I'm done with this.
Well, with the islands, you gotta dig. You gotta find the little like holes in the ground and dig up the gyroids or whatever they are.
Is that how you do it?
That's
I thought they're just gonna be on the
Yeah.
island.
No, 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 no. So if you go around, you see a
Oh,
little cross or
okay.
whatever, like a little fossil hole. You like dig it up,
Oh
and
yeah. There
they'll be
weren't
in
any
there.
fossil holes
Yeah.
actually.
I
I'll
went
have to keep going.
to where did I go? I went to an island. I think a couple of nights ago, I was playing in bed with Emma, and I went to an island that was in a different hemisphere. I think it was in the morning.
Oh
Sorry,
yeah.
I was playing in the morning, and I went to a different island hemisphere because it was nighttime. I was like, oh, this is weird. And there was actually
Hmm.
a shooting star
Oh
like event
cool.
going on that little island. And so I was able to get a bunch of fallen stars, which reminds me I should load it up. I was going to load up earlier this morning, but I didn't. I should
Yeah.
have a bunch of fallen stars on my island. But yeah, no, me and Emma have been playing it uh almost daily now.
Oh
Um
really?
it's fun. I
Oh
like
good.
Animal Crossing again, you know. I'm enjoying it. It's
Yeah,
good
cool.
fun. I
I'll have to
it's
jump
a
in
Yeah, I feel like you got to sink your
properly.
teeth into it a little bit, you know, and yeah,
Yeah.
because
I
you
think
know,
once
just sort
start
of.
like there you go.
No, I was gonna say, yeah, just sort of running around the island, you're not gonna find too much stuff. You've got to sort of
Yeah.
like seek it out, you know, like you've got to go to Harvey's Island, you've got to go and see Tom Nook and Isabel, you've got to go and
Oh
see
yeah, I've yet
Blathers
to
to
go there.
like get Brewster and stuff like that, you know. So there's a couple of
Yeah.
things you have to do before you start getting to the new content, but like once you do those things, it does open up so much. Like it's yeah, there's a lot of good stuff in it. I'm enjoying it. I'm
Yeah, I'll
enjoying it.
get there.
But yeah.
Another game that came out very recently and is gonna be a nice segue is Forza
Yes, that's why
Horizon
I specifically
5.
left it till last gen so we can
Yes.
segue into it. Yeah, Forza Horizon 5. I have been playing a bunch of this game since it hit Game Pass yesterday. I played a fair bit like in the afternoon before football, and then I came home and I played a fair bit with some friends. And I was playing just before after lunch as I was waiting for Jens to finish up her lunch. And man, it is a fun game. Oh,
It's beautiful.
it is so good looking too. Yeah, it is incredible what they've done.
I
It
really want to
is.
get the controller for it.
Yeah, the funky one. I saw you tweet about that this morning.
Yeah,
That does
it's
it looks
so
so nice.
nice.
I did see them sending out like press kits to a couple of people where it was in like a
Yeah.
gas tank or whatever.
Yeah,
And
I
it had a bunch
saw
of other little
that.
fun stuff in there.
I wonder
I was
if
like, man, that is
Steven's gonna
so
get one.
cool. I would assume so. I would, you know, I'd be sitting near the door waiting for a package from
Yeah.
Microsoft. You know, I feel like it'd be around the corner. Um, but you know, I have been enjoying Horizon 5 so much. It is such a good looking game, like Jen said. It plays well, it runs well, it you know,
Mm.
it does everything right. I feel it's just It is so good. I have come across a couple of little issues where like it crashed once on me. Um,
Okay.
I'm not too sure what caused it, but it did crash once on me. And I know a couple of other friends have had some weird rendering issues. So getting like some weird patches where it's a bit blurry
Oh
and stuff
yeah.
like that.
I
But
think that's a
other than that,
known bug
I
that is
yeah,
gonna
I
get
think I think
fixed.
Hula said it was a known issue, so that's good. They are aware of it. We did
Yeah.
actually last night too. We were playing online with a bunch of friends, and we were trying to do what's called a convoy, whereas like you're on the one sort of
Mm.
area. Um, and we did notice that we kept like as much as we were still in the same convoy in the same online world, every now and again it would just like remove the cars from
Yeah.
everyone's vision. So like I'd be driving around and I'd like lose Emma. I don't know where she went. And then 30 seconds down the road, she'd be appearing at front of me again. Like she was still driving with me. It was just I
Mm.
didn't see it on the map or in front of me. So I feel like that's a bug too. I'm not sure if it's a known one or if they're working on it or what it is, but that was one thing that we did notice and was like, it's sort of, it was a bit hard to get things done because you were like, you had to wait, like, oh, did you disappear? Am I desyncing? Are you like,
Yeah,
are
no,
you loading into
totally.
something?
I had the
Yeah, it was
same
a bit
issue
annoying.
too.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I feel like everyone was having the same issue, so
Yeah.
hopefully that gets fixed sooner rather than later. Um, but yeah, I guess, Jens, we can segue into our first topic this week,
Mm.
which very handily, like Jen said, on Forza Horizon 5. But mainly its accessibility features that it's added, which are second to none.
It's incredible.
I don't think I can recall a game, and I did think about this earlier. I was like, I don't think I can recall a game, albeit a triple A game, because I'm sure there are
Mm.
games out there, indie games and stuff like that, that are quite accessible and do have, a bunch of pronouns and a bunch of like, customization features that are, able to, um, appease and stuff like that to a bunch of demographics of people, be it disabilities or, what have you. But this is the
Yeah.
first triple A game and like really large triple A game that I can recall that has done anything like this. You know,
I think
um,
The Last of Us 2 had some pretty good accessibility stuff. Or like
okay, yeah,
customization. Maybe not
it
accessibility,
was quite,
but customization. Because
yeah,
like
you
there
could
was like
tweak things quite
motion sickness
heavily.
stuff and all that jazz. Anyways.
Oh, okay, yeah, yeah. Motion sickness. I feel like a lot of people are starting to put into games too because a lot of people
Yeah.
are, speaking up about it and are talking about it. I know you suffer from it quite heavily. And so sometimes when you play games that like have no ability to like increase the field of view or like turn off
Yeah.
motion blur and
I
stuff like
just
that,
can't play it.
it hits you like a truck, man. Yeah, it's hard. Um, but no, Forza Horizon 5 has a ton of accessibility features. Sorry, we're going to go through a couple now.
Mm.
Um, First off, probably the biggest one that I've seen a lot of people talking about online is this little future update that is going to come very shortly, which is the ability to have sign language, a little sign language interpreter in the bottom corner or somewhere on the screen, that can interpret the text and emotions and stuff like that of the characters in the game. Which again, I don't think I can recall the game that has done anything like this before. This
Yeah,
is
neither.
like I think of a first of its kind. A lot of games obviously do have like almost every game these days has some form of subtitles or closed captioning and things like that. Um, but people that do require those because they might be deaf or something close to it, um, do have the issue that text can't convey tone very well, as much as people do try, like you sometimes when you watch a movie or you have subtitles on Netflix, sometimes it does have like descriptive closed captioning, but it's very like sometimes very simplistic and like, it's not
Mm-hmm.
always there. And so they have been asking, hey, it would be a lot better if you had like sign language interpreters because they're able to a lot easier like convey the tone and like emotion
Right.
and stuff like that behind some of these things. And so this is like the first time that I've ever seen this being implemented, which is incredible. It's amazing. Um, I'm all here for it. I do expect more games to start doing this in the future, especially I can
I
imagine
reckon.
Microsoft Studios games first and foremost. I feel like a lot of their first party games in the future are going to have this, this feature, I guess.
Absolutely.
I'd be very surprised, yeah, if it didn't. Moving on, they do have, all the sort of stock standards, accessibility features, like customizable subtitles. You can change the size, you can change the color of them. They have text to speech for menus. They have colorblind filters. And it also, I've never seen this before, but like this slider that lets you change the actual speed of the game itself, you know?
Yeah.
Um, so for people that do have like what is it, like reaction disabilities, or like, they might be, they might not be able to react as fast as some other people, you can
Yeah.
actually physically slow the game down so that it is a lot sort of easier and accessible to play for people that do suffer from that. Having said that though, they've done it in a very smart way that it doesn't impact the actual gameplay itself. So it's not like
Mm.
the car just maxes out at 30 kilometers an hour and you can only go that fast. It's everything slows down, and you still have to brake normally. You still have to do all that normally, but it just increases the amount of time you have to react to braking or turning, or, avoiding, you know, impacts and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's super well done. Super well done. And it's only for the offline modes. Obviously, if you were to play like online races with other people competitively, it would go back to its normal speed, but it is great for people that just want to go around and collect cars and play the story
Hmm.
and, discover Mexican, the environment and all that sort of stuff. It would be, yeah, it's great for that. I love it. The physics are preserved as well. So like I sort of said, if you do crash into things, you will still take that impact. It's not just gonna like, slow you down and things like that. Um, it's yeah, it's great. I
That's
I
so
sort of want to
good.
try it. I sort of want to try it just to see what it's like. Like I'm fine playing it normally. I've been playing
Yeah.
it normally and stuff like that. All the racing games I'm usually fairly decent at, but I do want to try and see what it's like. Because I've never seen this feature in a game before. Um, I feel like I'm gonna say that a lot in this little segment. I've never seen this feature before because, like, I feel like Horizon 5 is like the first game to ever do it. Um,
Yeah,
yeah,
I
I
think
just
so
want to see
too.
how much you can tweak it.
Do you know what it'd be
Like
good for? Dark Souls.
that's what. Yeah, I did see a bunch of people talking about that online, specifically on like Rudism's Twitter. I know he's been a big advocate for a lot
Yes.
of like accessibility features, especially in those sorts of games like Dark Souls. And I think he did say, like, he's been one of the people that I've seen talking about this the most, um,
Mm.
for Forza Horizon specifically. But in his like comments, people are like, this would be great to see in games like Dark Souls, or, those sorts of games, because it does cut out a whole bunch of people that just physically can't play it. Like,
Yeah, totally.
it's and you can argue that, oh, it takes away from the integrity of the developers, because Dark Souls is meant to be an excruciatingly
Yeah.
hard game and yada yada yada. But it's still, I don't feel like that's a good enough excuse for not making your game accessible to as many people as possible. Like,
Hmm.
if you don't have to play, like if you want it to be excruciatingly possible, you can just play it on a normal difficulty. But there are people out there that physically
Just
can't
have
play
the
the game
option.
because
Yeah.
it's there's no option to play it at any easier difficulty or something like that. So,
Yeah.
it'd be great to see them. It'd sort of be like arguing against having closed captionings in movies and things like that. It's like, it's kind of a dick argument to make, because people that don't have the ability to hear do
Oh
still
my
deserve
god.
to see movies and stuff like that.
I've
Like,
never even thought about like movies. Like if you couldn't if you were like deaf, couldn't
yeah.
go to cinema.
Well, you can go to a cinema, but
Because
you
there
have to go
aren't
to a
any
very
subtitles.
specific. You have to go. Well, you have to go to a very specific like time slot, or you have to request it and things like that.
Right.
There's only like 1 or 2 sessions a week for closed captionings and things, and they're usually thrown like right at the start of the day at like 10 o'clock when the cinemas first open and things.
Right.
So they are there, but it is also kind of inaccessible in a way already,
Not.
because
Yeah.
they're not putting it at prime time. And obviously, deaf and blind people and stuff like that, they do still have to work. They do have the ability to still work in some cases. So, it's not like they can take a Thursday off to just go and see the new Avengers movie that come out because it's only showing at 10 o'clock with closed captioning. Um
Yeah.
it's but they do still have the option for that. I have seen it. I don't know if all cinemas will do it, but I know the ones close to us here do it. I feel like it's the larger ones, so probably the ones on like George Street and stuff like that would have it.
Do you know what would be
But
good?
like
And
your
I'm
little
just
your little
talking
ones
out of
probably
my
won't do it.
ass.
Yeah.
Like you know how in 3D cinema you've got those glasses and then you see it in 3D.
Yeah, yeah.
Could you imagine if there's like glasses that like people who can like who don't need subtitles, like
Mm.
it'll be a normal viewing. But then if you have these glasses on,
You know
it'll have
what?
the
Yeah,
subtitles on, and then like
that'd be
you know how
interesting.
Bose have like sunglasses with speakers on,
Yeah,
so
yeah. That'd be interesting as hell. That would be super interesting, yeah. Because yeah, you could then
because then
argue
you can
that
just go
people
to
could,
any cinema, and oh
yeah.
right, you could argue that people are recording.
Well, no, 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 not just that, but like you could argue that you could then like if you had the glasses that had like the little speakers in it, if they were set to a low enough volume that the person next to you couldn't really hear it, or it wasn't impacting their viewing experience, you could have it so there was like descriptive closed captioning in there
Mm.
for people like
And
to
the
help
cinema's
convey
so
tone and stuff like
loud,
that. It
anyways.
that's what I mean. It's like it probably wouldn't impact you that much. I would have to think there would be someone trying to develop that, you
That'd
know?
be
There would have to
interesting.
be, because that would be super cool.
No?
Yeah, that'd be surely there would be someone out there. You should write that down and patent that real quick, Jens, though.
Yeah, but I don't know what the
Because yeah,
technology is gonna be. But
that's
I
not a
that'd
bad
be
idea. I mean,
cool.
hey, look, you could just patent it and sell the patent, and then someone
True.
else can develop the technology for it. That's fine. But that's not a bad idea at all. That is not a bad idea at all. Yeah. Because that would then open it up a lot more for like, you could go to the 7 o'clock showing in the evening, the seven
Exactly.
o'clock showing of the new Avengers movie, and you could
And you
sit there
can
with
watch amongst other
everyone that can watch
people.
it.
Yeah.
And you can,
Yeah.
because that's another thing too, is like, you go at the 10 o'clock session and there's maybe two people in the cinema with
Mm.
you don't get the experience of seeing it with everyone. Like I know when I saw Endgame and stuff, Aston was gone crazy, like when all those big things,
Yeah.
everyone was cheering, I'm like, holy shit, like that'd be such a cool experience to have with other people.
Absolutely.
It's yeah, that's very interesting. Very interesting. Um,
Anyway.
More so just on Forza Gens, I just want to touch on
Yeah,
one
yeah,
more
yeah,
thing.
yeah. Yeah,
Did
yeah.
you see as well? I know like we've both played it and we've done the intro and stuff like that. In the intro, they
Mm.
were dropping cars out of planes and you would like fly down in the car and then land and keep driving. Did you see that
Yes.
they actually dropped a real life car out of the air in Victoria to celebrate the game's launch here in
No.
Australia? Yeah,
Was it
that are. So they
Holden?
had no, it wasn't a Holden. It was some like buggy thing. But yeah, they airlifted it with a helicopter. And they had a skydiver in the helicopter. He wasn't riding in the car because that's kind of unsafe. And you did see, we'll have the video playing behind us. I do have it here. But you'll see when the buggy actually
My
lands,
God.
it does land quite like solidly. It has it's a very
Like a
jerky
thump.
landing. It's
Yeah.
kind of a thump. So if someone was in there, that wouldn't have been a very pleasant landing. But
True.
he was skydiving beside it and stuff, and he landed and then got in it and drove around it, painted this little like 5 in the ground with some smoke. It was kind of cool.
That's sick.
But yeah, I was like, that's
Oh,
badass, man. That was badass. Um, it'd be very cool to be that guy that was driving alongside that car.
right?
It'd be very cool.
Hey, Red Bull.
That's it. Yeah. Hey,
Although I
Red Bull
think
should have been all over
Monster
that.
is a big sponsor in
I was gonna
Forza
say, yeah, I
Horizon
feel like
5.
you know what? I'm gonna take a sip from my Red Bull right now. But yeah, no, monsters are. I have seen a couple of their hats and things like that. In the game,
Yeah,
so
yeah, yeah. I think they're
it's
the sponsor there.
probably a conflict of interest. Probably. Um, Now, Jens, we're gonna move on. I feel like
Mm.
this is right up your alley because you're a big Bloodbourne fan. We did just talk about Dark Souls and accessibility and stuff like that, but I feel like
Yes.
you can talk about this one because this is right up your alley.
Yeah, well, I haven't heard of this game, and just doing the write up today, I just came across it, and it
Mm,
sounds really interesting. But basically, there's a game that's going to be coming out called Lives of P, the letter
okay.
P.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's basically Bloodborne if the baddies were puppets, which is like
Okay.
incredible on its own.
That's
It
a
kind
very
of
interesting
reminds,
description.
yeah. So it's got the Bloodborne Dark Souls mechanics of hack and slash, hard
Yeah.
bosses, but the bosses, like I said, are like puppets, like Pinocchio, or if you think of Little Nightmares, like that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Um, and it's really interesting. Like it looks pretty good. It reminds me a lot of Bioshock and Dishonored, um, as well as Bloodborne. And yeah,
Yeah.
you just go around this world with like these puppet things. Some of which can like kind of remind you of Five Nights and Freddy, that sort of thing, like a horror
Yeah.
puppetry. sort of
Okay, like
landscape.
animatronic type thing, yeah.
Yeah,
No,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I can see what you mean. I'm looking at a little clip now. I can see what you mean by the Bloodborne thing. It does look like it's very heavily inspired by
Mm,
the atmosphere and the world of Bloodborne. It looks
yeah.
like it's set in uh like historical European streets and stuff like that,
Yeah, yeah,
around the
yeah.
1800s,
Ye
1900s.
olde England.
Yeah, yeah. It looks kind of cool. It looks kind of cool. I wonder if it's going to be as sort of tough as the Soulsborne games, or if they're going to make it more of a hack and slash type game thing, more like Devil May
Yeah, I don't
Cry type thing,
know.
because
It's
it
hard
is
with.
still like I was looking at it and it looks like all the gameplay is like alpha footage and stuff, so
Yep,
it's
yep. It's
it's
early
still a little
days.
while away. It says it's coming to arrive sometime in 2023 for PS5, Xbox Series consoles and PC. Um so it is still a little while away.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know, it looks kind of interesting,
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna keep an eye on it and
Yeah.
see how it goes. But yeah, it's tricky when it's Dark Souls level hard because you don't want to scare away people. And
No, that's it.
also
Yeah. Especially for like the
the
first
thing.
game in the series, like you think
Yeah,
this first game comes
exactly.
out, you want as many people to sort of play it and get their hands on it as possible, and then maybe later down the line you release sort of a harder one again. But you know,
Mm. But
it's
there
yeah,
is that appeal, like if it is satisfying to
Y-
complete that boss because
yeah,
of the hard, like how hard it is.
yeah,
But you just need to do that right. Like there's like that level where it needs to be satisfying if it's punishing,
yeah. You don't
or
want to make
just
it
satisfying and
frustratingly
not.
hard.
Yeah, exactly. You don't want
Yeah,
to scare away people.
yeah,
I don't know. She'll be interesting. No
yeah,
idea when it's going to be coming out. Because it
yeah.
is alpha footage.
There's no hard release. It just says 2023s, and that could even be delayed too. Who knows? Like
Yeah.
with the whole landscape of things at the moment, like games are getting delayed left, right, and center. Movies are getting delayed left, right, and center still. So
Hmm.
it is very possible that it can be delayed. But we're all here for delays too because we don't want developers to have crunch, and B, we want a game to come out that's complete. We don't want a game to come out that's riddled with bugs and was just sort of pushed out, because they want to get it out there and get the sales and things. So
Exactly.
I'm fine for delays. Yeah. Um. Moving on, though, Jens. Back for
Hmm.
Blood, another game that we have been enjoying quite recently that also did come out not too long ago. Um, they have been getting quite a bit of praise. There's a lot of people that are playing it and a lot of people are enjoying it. Um, but the developers, Turtle Rock Studios, still have big plans for the game. And they have released sort of a roadmap of sorts that shows, a timeline for, short-term improvements like bug fixes and like, little quality of life tweaks and things that some people have been asking for quite heavily. And then longer term commitments for like, further on in 2022 and onwards and stuff like that.
Hmm.
Um, which is kind of good. It's always nice when developers sort of, show their plans and be like, hey, we know these things are happening. This is our timeline. These are when you can
Yeah.
expect things to sort of come into play and stuff like that.
And
It's a
there's more to
real
come,
good thing.
there's like.
Exactly. Yeah. It gives you enough information, and then it throws the carrot on the end of the stick, and it's like, hey, but just you
Exactly.
wait. There's more coming. Um. So some of the stuff that we can expect that are coming, very shortly, sort of towards the end of the year, so before the turn, new features like new supply lines, this practice area for ridden, things, and then a holiday seasonal event too, which is kind of cute. I always love it
I
when
love.
games do seasonal events for things like that. They
Me
get in the
too.
spirit. It's great. It'd be kind of cool if they had like this thing where all the zombies walking around like in Santa hats. Feel like that would be cute.
Yeah.
Um, uh, this one quite exciting too. They do have a solo offline mode with campaign progression. So if you
I
don't want
am
to
so
play
happy for
with
that.
the weird bots,
Yeah.
you can do that. You can just play
Because
solo.
honestly, that's the only downside of this game was you
Yeah,
couldn't do the solo. You needed a friend. But
yeah,
now that
yeah.
they're adding a offline solo mode that has campaign progression, like you can do it alone, but you won't
That's so
progress.
good. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
this is amazing.
That's
So
so
if
good.
you listening have been holding off playing this game because you don't have people to play with,
Mm.
now is your chance. Like they're doing it.
Go
It's
and
such a
get
good game.
your $1 worth of Game Pass for 3 months, and you
Exactly.
have 3 months to play this game, which is really
And
fun,
check out
and lots
Forza
of other
as
games,
well.
Forza, Unpacking, yeah, Age of Empires 4. There's tons of games on there.
Yeah.
You could
Yeah.
spend copious amount of hours on
Months.
there. Yeah. Uh, but yeah, we have the new solo offline mode. We have new card types, and then we're also bringing in all new cards to the game as well. So for people that want to, tweak their experience and things like that with these cards, you can do that. And then for the stuff that's coming later in towards next year in 2022 and onwards, they're going to be adding new difficulties, probably a harder one, I'm assuming. New player cards, new corruption cards, a new co-op mode, melee
Ooh.
updates, so updates to how the melee works because it is a little bit janky at the moment. I do sort of dislike using the melee weapons because I feel like the hit registry is a bit.
Really?
I don't know. I feel like it's a bit
You have to be
weird.
very close. You have to be
Yeah,
very
that's what I
close.
mean. I feel like it's a bit. I don't know. And then extra quality of life improvements that they haven't really touched on. They've just sort of said, yes, we're developing quality of life things. They're coming next year sometime. So you can keep your eyes and ears peeled on Turtle Rock Studios Twitter and stuff like that, because I feel like that's where they're going to be doing most of the updates, as well as probably in-game. Like, when you launch the game, they'll be like, hey, this is coming, get ready for this.
Yeah.
I
wonder what the new co-op mode's going to be like. Like, what else can you do?
I was going to say, I wonder, because I'm trying to think, like, the co-op mode at the moment is just like you can go through the campaign with a friend or with a group of 4 friends, and do that. But I wonder what the new one is. It's probably like some challenge mode type thing, But yeah, be interesting. Be interesting to see if it was like a new co-op mode sort of similar to COD Zombies, where it's like you sit in a box sort of thing and you have to go around and like
just
fight off the
hold
horde and that'd be interesting. That'd be cool. But yeah, so they're the Back for Blood updates that are coming within the next couple of months and within the next year too. Now moving on, Jenz, to second to last topic before we get into some Marvel things. Superliminal.
Have you played this?
Very weird game. No, it is on my wish list. It is actually on Game Pass 2 from memory, so I have been meaning to download it. But yeah, super weird puzzle game.
It's very one of my favorite.
It is. I think from memory, I have seen you play it on stream a little while ago. And I didn't watch too much about it because obviously I wanted to play it myself, so I didn't want to get too many puzzles spoiled. But I did watch like the first little bit where like the puzzles were kind of, a bit more on the nose and a bit more, sort of a bit easier. But yeah, it does. It looks great. I have been meaning to play this for the longest time. But yeah, Superliminal is a first-person forced perspective puzzle game. So basically, it means that the environment you interact with is based off where you're looking, if that's a good enough description. It's not like Portal where you have to use a tool to solve the puzzles. You are the tool. Your vision is the tool, Yeah,
like a good, like, when people take a photo with Leaning Tower pizza, like they are leaning on it.
Yeah.
But imagine you're looking like that, the tower and is actually that size that you're looking at. As soon as
you snap that photo, think in real life, the tower comes alive and you're actually leaning on it. Like that's sort of the puzzle experience you're getting here.
That's how it is. You just need to, it shifts your perspective and it changes the size and all that jazz.
It is the perfect game to think of, like, just think outside the box. Like,
great if you're
I know they say that a lot with puzzle games, think outside the box and, all that sort of, but this I feel like is the perfect game. This is like the definition of thinking outside the box, Sorry, what were you going to say, Jenz? The perfect game for...
No, it's all good. It's good.
Okay, yeah. But yeah, so that's sort of what the game is. At the moment, it's strictly a single player experience though. And so this free update that's coming out today, actually, it's out today as the day of recording, to mark the first year anniversary of the game's release, is a multiplayer mode called Group Therapy, of all titles. It's kind of a fun title. I like that one. Which is a competitive multiplayer mode that pits up to 12 players against one another through a series of randomly generated rooms, and apparently ducks too. I'm not sure what you mean by ducks, Jenz. Do you mean like physical ducks, like rubber duckies?
Look, I don't know. This is just what I have heard.
Sure.
We will find out.
So the developer Pillowcase, Pillowcastle. Jeez. Call it a battle royale mode, which is very interesting. Never would I have thought that a battle royale mode would have made its way to a forced perspective puzzle game of all things. It's They do say it's probably just a bit of fun irony, like, it's not actually a battle royale mode, like but with every other game and their brother coming out these days that have a battle royale mode, I feel like it was, I think it's a funny thing to.
It's basically Squid Games where you just need to figure out the how to solve the room you're in, and
before
then
the
you
person next to you. Yeah.
before
Yeah.
the rest of the team. Yeah.
Yeah. That's probably a
That's the
better
battle
description.
royale-ness of it.
So yeah, like Jen said, the goal here is simply be the first one to exit. Exit the room,
Yeah.
you win. Congratulations. The studio did warn that this mode is still experimental, so there are still some little bugs and quirks and things like that that they haven't been able to sort of iron out. But
Which is so understandable for a
yeah,
puzzle game to be a
well,
co-op.
that's it.
No,
I have
a
always
battle
given
royale.
praise to developers and studios that are able to create puzzle games. Because for you think just sitting there playing Portal and stuff like that, I feel like everyone has played Portal or experienced it in some way.
Mm.
But you stand there and you're like, I'm struggling to figure this out, but someone had to come up with this first. Someone had
Yeah.
to reverse engineer this puzzle to be
Yeah.
able to work seamlessly and not have any, there's only one path out of this puzzle. You have to have developed such a
Insane.
smart way that it cannot be done in any other way except this one
Mm.
way that the developer specifically wanted me to do it in. And I'm like, holy shit, bro! Like the amount of genius that you know has to sit there and come up with this idea,
I
and
know.
then
It's
and
insane.
that's for Portal. That's one thing. Like I said, you're using tools in Portal, so it might be a little bit easier to sort of, like develop some of the rooms and puzzles for that sort of game. But with Superliminal being as weird and as crazy and as wonky as it is, I feel like that adds another layer of difficulty to like creating these, these puzzles for the game.
Mm.
Because they're some of them are next level, man. From what I've seen, they're absolutely bonkers. But yeah, that's kind of fun. I feel like Jens, we might do a little video on that because that sounds kind of fun.
We should,
know?
yeah.
This sounds kind of interesting. Could make it one of those other challenge videos that we've done before. But yeah, moving on. The last little thing we want to touch on this week is just a little bit of Marvel news. So we're still not going to be talking about Shang-Chi. That does come out technically today, the day you're listening to this episode of the podcast. Shang-Chi will be out in Australia, at least, on Disney Plus. So if you do have a Disney Plus subscription, you can head there and you can watch it, for free with the subscription and whatnot. You don't have to pay for it extra now. And so I feel like we're going to talk about that next week because hopefully enough people have seen it by then and we can start discussing it because luckily me and Jens did see it about a month ago when things sort of started opening up and whatnot. Jen saw it earlier before that again because she could. So, we've been lucky enough to see it already, but we wanted to
my memory.
I was going to say, I feel like I'm going to have to watch it on Friday when it comes out just to sort of recap myself on it before we go and watch it. But one thing I did want to touch on was I saw Eternals earlier.
Yes, you did.
Well, actually, sorry, last Friday I saw it. I'm not going to go into spoiler topics. I'm not going to talk about any of the plot or anything like that. But I just want to say
I haven't seen it.
Very much a different Marvel movie.
Okay.
It does not follow.
Didn't rate very well, which is a shame.
No, I mean I feel like I understand. Like having heard the ratings and stuff like that online,
Right.
and seeing some people talk about it. I never read reviews before I go and see a movie because if I like something, same with video games too, if I like the look of something, I'm just going to go and pick it up and I'm going to review it myself personally. Like, I'll be like, okay, this wasn't up to what I was hoping for. Big deal. I'm not going to listen to someone else tell me why they did or did not like something because everything is, personal. It's all a sort of personal experience, I guess. But yeah, I can kind of, going back on it now, I can kind of understand why it might be getting some of the lower reviews in the MCU. It does make a little bit of sense to me. But I feel like maybe they might be a bit too harsh. Like, yeah, it isn't like your Avengers Endgame type level of scope. It's not like crazy huge and has like all these amazing characters in it. They are all totally new characters we've never seen before. So it does have to do a lot of like character building and backup and all that sort of stuff. But it's I don't know, it's just very different.
I did hear the interesting thing that'll get into like a bit of a not political but like a touchy area.
Yes. Okay. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah.
I did. So yeah. Go on. You talk about it.
So apparently Brie Larson like a while ago has mentioned why reviews or critics can review a Marvel movie pretty poorly is because they're mostly of like the Caucasian male that are the critics.
Yes.
And like 5% of them are women of color that are doing the review.
Yes.
and that
I
is
mean,
also the
this is probably assuming as well for like the big like Metacritic and like or, like the big conglomerate ones, like probably not your aunt and uncle
yes.
little blogger website thing,
No,
that
like
this, but for the
Rotten
most part,
Tomatoes or
yeah,
whatever.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um, so yeah, that's speculated as to why Eternals is getting
Mm.
really bad reviews is because it's people of color and like
Well, it is. It's probably
um
the most. It is probably the most like diverse Marvel film to date that I'm trying to think
yeah
of. Like, I can't recall there being a more diverse Marvel film. Um,
yeah
yeah,
like
I don't think I can. You know,
yeah
and
I'm
that's
trying to
probably why it
think
is taking a lot
now.
of people. It's probably trying to take a lot of people aback. Because
Hmm.
it isn't your typical, in quotations, Marvel movie in that sense. It's not like a white male superhero that's here to save the world. It's a bunch of different people from different backgrounds and different
I
demographics that are
guess
coming together to,
Shang-Chi was the other
you know,
one.
well, that's it. That's probably the next most, sort of diverse one out there. And did you see his tweet? I don't know if we touched on it last week. I don't think we did,
No, I don't
but
think we
I
spoke about it.
saw I saw him, Simu Liu, tweet, or he retweeted someone that was like, the person that he retweeted said something along the lines of, my son wanted to dress up as Shang-Chi this Halloween or whatever because he was like, he was Asian, I'm assuming. Um, and he was like, because he was so proud of seeing, his
Oh,
sort of like demographic, I guess, represented on film. Like, and he was so
yeah.
excited to be able to like sort of be represented. And he was like, I want to dress up like him. I don't want to dress up as like Starla this year. I want to dress up as the guy that looks just like me, and acts like me and talks like me and, is from my heritage and whatnot.
Mm.
And so similarly retweeted and was like, you know what? This is kind of cool. We should make more films like this. And I was like, they totally should. And I was like, that's the perfect like you know, sort of response to people like, oh, why do we need to, cast women in films? Why do we need to make, characters gay? Why do it's because of this at the end of the day. It's. Because of the
Yeah,
representation.
representation.
Yeah. It is. It's a lot more. It goes
Representation's
a lot.
so important.
Yeah, it is. It goes a lot deeper than just being like, oh, he looks like me, or he talks like me. It goes
Yeah,
a
yeah,
lot
yeah,
deeper
yeah.
than that. It's yeah. It's so it is. It's very nice to see people responding well to that sort of thing. It'd be interesting too. I don't think I've seen too many people talk about a similar experience with Eternals online. I don't think I've seen too many
Mm.
people being like, "Oh my god, like this character's like has an Indian background."
Mm.
I love. I haven't really seen
I've
that
only
yet,
seen
but
one from a friend, but
okay, that's good.
she
Yeah,
celebrates a lot of representation in
yeah, yeah.
entertainment. So
I
yeah,
mean, it's great though. It's great still to see. It's yeah.
yeah,
But
but
another
yeah.
thing I wanted to touch on too, Jens,
Oh yeah, sorry.
was did you see that, Disney has been known to do this in the past, but they don't, or for this film specifically, they're not editing it or altering it in any way to be pushed to like Middle Eastern or Chinese markets. Because there is a gay character in this, an openly gay character in this, and they do go into that, sort of relationship a little bit.
Right.
And typically Disney specifically in their films, because they want them to do well in the Chinese market, because it is such a big market,
Oh, they
they
change
usually
it.
edit it or they tweak it a little
Right.
bit so that either the character is not in the film or they change sort of his background or like cut it very specifically so that there's not those scenes depicting homosexuality or anything like that in it for that market and the Middle Eastern market too,
Interesting.
because it's so frowned upon over there. But for this film, this is the first film I think that they have not done it, which is very good to see
Wow.
as well. Like props to Disney. As much as we sort of being like, hey, giant company that's worth billions, well done. Like, no, giant company that's worth billions, well
Still,
done. This should not be a
yeah,
thing we have to praise, but we're gonna
exactly.
praise it because I want you to keep doing it.
Exactly.
Um,
And other companies
it's
might
yeah,
do this now.
yeah, yeah. It's good to see. It's really good to see. And because of that, they are taking the hit. Like it is not being
Yeah,
shown
I bet.
in Middle Eastern cinemas. I'm not sure about the Chinese market. I haven't heard anything about that, but I know in like Middle Eastern cinemas, they're not showing Eternals at all. So,
Wow.
but
What a
it's
shame.
I feel like it's kind of a smaller market anyway, so they're not going to be losing too much compared to like US or Europe or anything like that.
Hmm.
It's probably not as much of a hit, but it's still it's good to sort of put your foot down and be like, no, this, this needs to be shown, this needs to be
We need to
depicted.
change.
We're not
Yeah.
we're not changing our vision. It's and that's we need to change. Yeah. But yeah, that's another thing that I've seen a lot of people talking about with Eternals too. Is that side of things?
Very interesting.
It's a very diverse film. Like I said at the start, it's very diverse.
Yeah.
Not to its downfall, it doesn't like, it's not trying to be diverse. It's not forcing anything down you. It just it is in a very good way. But yeah, no, I still enjoyed it. At the end of the day, I'm not gonna, like I said, I'm not gonna go into spoiler things, but I did enjoy it. The post credit scene and the end credit scene were all fun and back to sort of the Marvel goodness that we expect. They do like leave you hanging for more. It's I feel like if you have the time, go and check it out. It's worth it, I think.
Yeah, I think I will regardless, just being a Marvel fan.
That's it too. I like that's it too. Yeah. At the end of the day, I'm a Marvel fan. Like, as much as, like, the new Spider-Man movie as well. Like, I'm the biggest Spider-Man fan. If that comes out and I start hearing reviews of people like, oh my god, this is a negative
like
6
tanking,
movie.
yeah.
Like, I absolutely hate it. Like, they could not have done worse. I'm still gonna go and see it. Like, it's a Marvel movie. I want to fill the gaps. Like, it's people are like, why would you watch Black Widow? We already know the character's dead. Spoiler alert. But it's been like 2 years now.
Oh
So.
my god. But
it's like, why would you want to see that movie? The character's dead. It's like, it fills in the gaps. I'm a Marvel fan. I'm gonna see the movies. It's like,
and it usually leads to something else.
It does. Yeah. Like, they did in Black Widow. They did like tie it into the greater MCU again. So it's it still works. There was one other thing that I wanted to talk about. I can't remember now.
Marvel or something else?
Oh, that's the thing, yes. So I don't know if you saw, Jenz, but I posted in your Discord last night and a couple of other Discords too that I saw on Twitter before I went to bed that apparently there have been some spoilers for No Way Home that have already made their way onto the internet. And so last night I spent about 15 minutes creating like a list of banned words on Twitter, like muted words, sorry.
Yeah.
So that I don't get it spoiled, because we are still like a whole month away from release. So it's going to be quite hard to dodge these things if they're out there quite readily. So yeah, for anyone that's listening that is excited for No Way Home, which I'm sure a lot of you are, be very cautious on the internet because there are spoilers floating around, allegedly. I'm not hunting them out to try and see if it's true or not, because I don't want to be, inadvertently spoiled, but there are allegedly spoilers out there. So be very cautious. That's what I wanted to touch on.
I hate people who spoil movies. It's like, what satisfaction do you get? Leave me alone.
What's the point, man? Yeah. And that's the other thing too, is we're trying to get tickets to see No Time to Die, me and Emma. But I have a gold class gift card, sorry.
Oh,
and it's not working online for some reason, but it's not the gift card's problem.
No.
It's like their website. Reading Cinemas have a very weird website.
Right.
And so I got to try and make it up to the shops to see if I can get tickets.
Like, book it, yeah.
Because it comes out tomorrow here, and we're going to try and see it tomorrow so that we don't get any spoilers, because I've already been trying to dodge them for the past month because it's been out in Europe and the US for a while now, so
I've got
it's hard enough as it is.
Pre-ordered for next week. We were going to watch it this week, but we couldn't. Next week.
Oh, look, things come up, get busy. But yeah, no, we're trying to see it as soon as possible. I feel like I'm going to get my suit pressed and like, I'm going to look the part, like, but yeah, no, I'm very excited for that.
Yeah, I think everyone is, to be honest.
Yeah. I have seen a lot of people getting prepped for it, It's it's going to be a big one.
Exciting times.
Yeah, but I think that's it for this week, Jenz. I think we got through everything we wanted to talk about. Was there anything that you wanted to add on before we do wrap up for the week?
Nothing from me.
Yeah, no, nothing from me again. So, as always, thank you guys for listening. Thank you guys for watching, and we shall see you all next week. Bye-bye.
Bye.